Like to take a shit and take worse.
It's your host from the West Coast, Nate Kusher, back at you with another one. Today's video is when Dr. Dre left Eazy E and N.W.A. Let's get into it. Ice Cube leaving shook the entire room, but Dr. Dre leaving N.W.A., that was the earthquake nobody was ready for. Ice Cube walked out over money, straight up. But Dre was watching the whole empire rot from the inside. He saw the contracts, he saw who was eating and who wasn't. And every time he asked questions, the answers got quieter. Dre wasn't just mad, he was humiliated. He built the sound, he built the identity, he turned the neighborhood into a movement. But behind closed doors, he was getting treated like a stepchild, like the world wouldn't even notice if he disappeared. And the deeper he looked, the uglier it got. The splits were off, the ownership was off, the respect was off. Everybody around him was getting rich off of his genius, except for him. That's when the anger turned into clarity. That's when Dr. Dre realized he wasn't a part of the business. He was the product. Inside the studio, Dre was a perfectionist. And outside the studio, he was a liability. At least to the people running the books. They didn't see a visionary. They saw a workhorse. Somebody they could overwork, underpay, and keep them in the dark. Dr. Dre wasn't blind, he wasn't stupid, he knew something was up, he just didn't know how deep it actually went. Not yet. But the streets talked, and when the right person finally broke down the contract line by line, Dr. Dre realized he wasn't trapped in a group, he was trapped in a system. Ice Cube leaving was a warning shot, but now Dre leaving N.W.A. is the final collapse. See, Ruthless Records was built on talent, but it survived on control. And when Dr. Dre was the biggest threat to that control, he was the one person they couldn't replace, the one person they couldn't afford to lose, but also the one person they refused to pay. Every hit record, every beat, every sound that defined the West Coast, Dre made that. But when the checks came in, his name was the last one on the list, just like Ice Cube told him. And that's when the resentment started to kick in. Dr. Dre wasn't just frustrated, he was embarrassed, bro. He was watching people who never touched a drum machine make more money off his work than he ever did. He was watching the group he helped build turn into a business that he didn't even control. The more he learned, the more he realized he wasn't being protected, he was being straight up played. Then the moment came that changed everything. N.W.A.'s former bodyguard, Suge Knight, was turning into a managerial role. He sat Dr. Dre down and showed him the truth, the real numbers, the real splits, and the real ownership. And once he saw it, he couldn't unsee it. The contracts wasn't just bad, it was a trap designed to keep him locked in, underpaid, and dependent on Eazy E and Ruthless Records. When Suge Knight stepped into the picture, things became clear for Dr. Dre. Suge wasn't a producer, he wasn't a rapper, he wasn't a label exec, but he was a problem solver. The kind of problem solver you called when the paperwork didn't match the promises. And Dr. Dre needed a way out, so Suge Knight offered one, but it wasn't going to be clean, it wasn't going to be quiet, and it damn sure wasn't going to be friendly. Behind the scenes, the tension was boiling. Dr. Dre was showing up to the studio less and less. He was speaking less, he was trusting less, and every time he walked into Ruthless, he felt like the walls was closing in. He knew he had to get out. The only question was, how? And Suge had the answer. The kind of answer that didn't involve lawyers or negotiations. The kind of answer that made people rethink their whole approach to the rap music business. The story goes that Suge Knight confronted Eazy E and a few guys from Compton to shake down the people holding Dr. Dre's contract. And whether you believe Eazy's side or Dr. Dre's side, one thing is clear about the story, Dr. Dre got free. And once he was free out of that contract, everything changed. He didn't just leave the group, he left the entire system that he built behind and walked straight into a new era, one built on power, ownership, and revenge. That era became Death Row Records, a label built on raw talent, street politics, and a sound that hit harder than anyone ever heard on the West Coast. Dre wasn't just making music anymore. Boy, he was building an empire, and he introduced the world to Snoop Dogg and what the LBC had to offer. And every beat he made was a reminder to Ruthless, Jerry, and Eazy of what they lost. From Dre Day to Nothing But a G Thing, Dr. Dre made sure to diss Eazy E and Ice Cube every chance he got. Eazy was starting to feel the pressure from every direction. The studio, streets, politics. He wasn't just taking shots, he was sending them back too. Real Compton City G's dropped in 1993 and it hit like a brick through a window. Eazy E cut ties with Ren and Yella and rebuilt Ruthless from the ground up, bringing in BG Knockout and Dresta, young G's from his own backyard who were ready to ride for him. But the feud wasn't just about music anymore. It was colors, it was neighborhoods, it was history. Eazy E was Kelly Park Crip, and Dre was now standing next to Suge Knight, a man tied deep into the Bloods and Pirus in Compton. In a city where it's already burning from the Rodney King riots, tension between Ruthless and Dr. Dre wasn't just a rap beef, it was gasoline on a wildfire. By the time the dust settled, this wasn't just music beef, it was a whole city holding its breath. Old alliances were gone, new powers were rising, and every move these men made echoed through the neighborhoods that they were already on edge. Eazy had his own circle, and Dr. Dre now had his. The lines between business and the streets were starting to blur. Every diss track, every interview, every rumor, it was all carrying the weight of the streets. Not because of who said it, but because of what the city was already going through. The breakup of N.W.A. didn't just split up a group, it split the culture. It forced people to choose sides in a moment where the whole West Coast was already tense, and the fallout didn't stop at the music. It shaped the sound, the attitude, and the energy of an entire generation. But here's the part that still shocks people today. Everything you just saw, that was only the setup, because the next chapter, the artists that Dr. Dre brought in, the records that came out of this era, the shift in power across Los Angeles, that wasn't just history, that was a turning point. And if you think this story was wild, wait until you see what comes next.